Mitt Romney really does not like Donald Trump. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. But even Mitt Romney is like, what is Biden doing? I mean, we said it would backfire. Don't ever doubt me, right? You know, you heard it here first. We knew it would backfire. And indeed, it has. Mitt Romney saying, gosh, you know, if he were smart, Biden would have pardoned the guy. Anybody else would have done it. I've been around long enough. Nobody would have allowed this to go forward. And I think about Donald Trump telling me when I asked him, I'm like, why didn't you move forward with any of the Hillary Clinton stuff and the server stuff? And he made it quite clear that, you know what, he didn't want to do that to somebody who was the former wife of a president, who was a presidential candidate, because it wasn't very becoming for the United States of America. In fact, his direct words to me were, you know, look, we're still the United States of America after all. We can't look like we're doing that. Well, they did it to him. They did it to him. And even Mitt Romney was like, you know what? You guys went too far, and you're probably going to get him straight into the White House because of it. He's rising in popularity because of it. Watch.
He should have fought like crazy to keep this prosecution from going forward. It was a win-win for Donald Trump. If Donald Trump is exonerated...
Is that Joe Biden's job, or is that shouldn't there be a separation?
I've been around for a while. If LBJ had been president and he didn't want something like this to happen, he'd have been all over that prosecutor saying, you better not bring that forward or I'm going to drive you out of office.
But I'm pretty sure you support having separate but equal branches of government.
I do, but I also, let me tell you, I mean, you may disagree with this, but had I been President Biden, when the Justice Department brought out indictments, I would have immediately pardoned him.
Interesting. And he goes on to say, I would have immediately pardoned him for the sake of the country, right? Because what you've ultimately done is created a victim. And so the whole soundbite actually has Romney going on to say, you have created this victim, you've kind of created this martyr, and thus people are identifying with him. It's really kind of fascinating because he's probably the first candidate to punch back, right? You know, they punch at him and he's not willing to stay down. He's not willing to stay down, and there's something truly admirable about that. You mean, think about Romney. He had more money than Romney. Romney was so ashamed of his wealth. So ashamed of his wealth. I mean, he let the media get him over and over and over again on that. And Donald Trump's like, heck yeah, I'm wealthy, and I'm damn proud of this wealth. You know what? And Americans respect that. Americans like that. He's honest about it. He's transparent. He's authentic. It's like we've never had that authenticity before. I mean, you go wealthy Romney, who, by the way, should have worn it on his sleeve with pride because he's created hundreds of thousands of jobs. He's created mega companies. I mean, he's I believe the guy behind Home Depot, that was his private equity shop, right? Bain Capital. They've created all kinds of businesses. Maybe it was Lowe's. We'll check that out and get back to you tomorrow. But in other words, tremendous. Staples, I think, was in there too. He's created these companies, and then he's like afraid to admit it. Whereas Donald Trump is like, oh yeah, I did that and I created that. I mean, like, just owns it. And Americans like and respect that. And so I think they trust him more. They trust him more, right? I mean, this is the guy that dared to say the unthinkable. Let's go back to May of 2020. And there was all this chatter that maybe the Wuhan virus, forgive me, the coronavirus could have come out of the Wuhan lab. Kind of making the connection there. And this was no-go territory. You weren't allowed to talk about it. No. I had heard intelligence, by the way, as far back as February of 2020, that was exactly the case. Now, this was not being reported. The intelligence I had was that it was not actually deliberate, but it was a mistake. And it was obviously a pretty awful thing to have had happen. So finally, a reporter asked Donald Trump about it in May of 2020. And he said, yep, I've heard that intelligence, right? Like that it could have. And all of a sudden, people, including Fauci, went bonkers, crazy. How dare he? How dare he? How dare he? But I think the American public respects him for that honesty and that transparency. And it's a game changer because we haven't had it. Let's face it, folks, in politics. So you look at these polls, one after another, they keep coming in, showing us Donald Trump is likely going to win the presidency. I mean, unless they pull some real trick. And look, they got hat tricks galore, right? They can pull all kinds of things. It's really important. There's a story out today saying that the Trump campaign is anticipating this and they're really, really aggressively trying to get ahead of any legal obstacles that they might have. Good, because you need free and fair elections, et cetera. And everybody has to believe in them and have faith in them, et cetera. That's why that Fulton County thing was a big deal the other day. I told you about how they miscounted. It was a mistake and they counted 3,000 votes twice, and now there's going to be an overseer there in Fulton County to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen. So the Trump campaign needs to really and truly be all over that kind of stuff. It's critical. But, assuming that everything's on the up and up, if these polls hold true, remember, he does not poll well. So you're actually looking at possibly a scenario where he does even better than what we're seeing right now.